Laura McCraith, born in 1872, was the daughter of Thomas McCraith and Laura Phillips. From a Church of Ireland family, the McCraiths resided at Lochluchar, a townsland on the east side of the town. The family are gone from us now. All that remains of their former presence is a family plaque in St. Paul's Church, Cahir, a small number of graves of the McCraith family by the crumbling walls of Lochluchar Church, and the literary works of Laura, herself an author. At just 6 years of age, Laura's father died. She was subsequently educated in Cheltenham. Of a literary mind, by her 20s she had published works including in 1895 In Old Gardens and in 1896 Historic Houses. Marriage came her way, marrying a surgeon, John Henry Blakeney. Thereafter she resided in England. She continued to write. A child, John Robert, arrived in 1904. The writing did not stop. During the course of the First World War, she was involved with soldiers' welfare, returning to Cahir in the aftermath of the war. Though her literary words are numerous, some are of a local nature. She wrote of the great local historian and scholar Geoffrey Keating, a work entitled At Geoffrey Keating's Grave. Athassel Abbey and its patrons, Cashel of the Kings were other relatively local works. However, arguably from a local perspective, her most appealing work, of which I shall say something, is The Suir from its source to the sea. A book published in 1912 by the Clonmel Chronicle newspaper, the title explains the subject matter within. It is, as we would say, a travel book, the journey being that of following the course of the River Suir, telling its story from its origin in North Tipperary to where it enters the sea beyond the city of Waterford. In the introduction she writes of the rivers we know collectively as the Three Sisters, which join together below Waterford and flow as one into the sea. She opens in her introduction with the words, The Suir, the Barrow, the Nore began to flow on the night King Con of the 100 Battles was born. She goes on to say, The Suir rises in the Devil's Bit Mountains in North Tipperary. It flows southwards from the Devil's Bit Mountain to Templemore and Thurles. Then meeting the magnificent range of the Galties, it turns eastwards beyond Cahir and winds its way between the Waterford Mountains and the Comeras until it reaches the sea by way of Clonmel, Carrick and Waterford. She describes in detail the towns and countryside through which the river finds its way. On reaching the edge of Cahir, she writes, and I quote, Past the reaches of Ballydrehead, the river pursues its course over 3 weirs to the pleasant little town of Cahir. The upper waters of the Suir above Cahir are accessible only by rowing boat, which may be lifted over these weirs. Charmingly situated residences, Cottage, Killemley, Altavilla, Cahir Abbey House, stand on the green banks. There are enticing woods, clear bathing pools, and favourite haunts for trout and salmon. In early spring and late summer, tangles of wildflower and water weeds dip their fair faces into the rippling waters. Sheets of yellow water lilies sway upon the pools. Cahir is the centre of a rich corn-growing district. Directed by a large and influential Quaker community, the milling industry brought prosperity and population to the valley of the Suir in the 18th century, and especially to Cahir, which was known as the Quaker town. In old protection days, mills abounded upon the banks of the Suir. Many of these are now in ruins, but near Altavilla, among the sally trees and the sedges, the river still turns a picturesque old mill wheel as of old. It now provides the electricity for a flourishing, modern machine bakery in the old mill, which supplies a large district. The milling industry flourishes still in Cahir in spite of foreign competition. As of old, the mills of Going and Smith still grind and form centres of activity and employment which serve as unmixed blessings and sources of prosperity to Cahir, now a thriving little town of some 2,000 inhabitants. The largest of these mills stands over against the fine old castle and forms a suggestive and striking contrast between feudal and modern conditions. And so continues her journey beyond Cahir, her descriptions enhanced by the inclusion of photographs by herself and Philip Condon, a photographer from Cahir, from Church Street, as the Suir finds its way to the sea. Finish.